Hey everybody, it's the top of the hour. It's 7 o'clock. That means it's not time for the show. It's a comedy drag talk show. We don't start on time. So grab yourself a snack, something to drink maybe. Share out the link to your friends that aren't in here yet, and get all settled in. Suzette Veneti show will start in about 2.5 minutes.
Also, wordplay. When you said grab a snack, I am a snack.
Oh, well,
yeah. So if someone wants to come and grab me, I mean, you got to do it from 6 feet away because social distancing. But Suzette Veneti is a snack. Okay. Computer turned. It is unfortunate. I only wore this for our interview guest. I don't have any Pittsburgh Penguins attire, and I need some Pittsburgh Penguins attire. How? I don't have any Penguins. Yeah, hockey. I need some. That's why we're yellow and black.
It's the magic number. Yeah, it is. It's the magic number. Somewhere in that ancient
we can do me
mystic
and Dave for a segment.
Trinity, you'll get 3. It's the magic number.
Yeah, let's go me and Dave, Clifton
Faith
Ellison.
and hope and charity, in the heart and the brain and the body, you'll give you 3. It's a magic number. It takes 3 legs to make a tripod or to
Did you
make
have
a table stand, and it takes 3 wheels to make a vehicle called the tricycle.
I did
And
not.
every triangle has 3 corners. Every triangle has 3 sides. No more, no less. You won't have to guess. Now there's 3. Can't you see that it's a magic number?
Right. Should be mine.
Welcome to the Virtual Stab Comedy Theater. It's time for the Suzette Veneti show. Please welcome to your screen, if I can do this really clean. No, why should anything work tonight? Welcome to your screen, Suzette Veneti.
Hey everybody, it's July 19th. It's Sunday, it's 7:03, which seems to be our regular starting time. So I'm 3 minutes late. So next time I say I'm late, I'm not pregnant. It's just 3 minutes past whenever I was supposed to be there. Let's get started with the show. Okay. This is show number 14. If you can give a share, that would be cool. Not like the singer, but like if you could just hit the share button to, support the show, because all the contributors and people that work on the show, we have some writers, and this Stab Comedy Theater with the information above me, we all work so hard, and if you can support us by sharing the show, that would be phenomenal. Thank you. This is just news. This isn't funny. By the way, I'm not trying to make a joke of this next thing, but I read that tear gas used at the protests can lead to a high rate of stillborn and miscarriage, and can cause multiple periods in a month for any women or any people that may have been born women that were at the protests. So if that's happening to you, that's normal given the content of the tear gas, and you might want to go to your doctor. Okay. Just thought I should let you guys know that. Kanye dropped out, and then he didn't. And then Caitlyn Jenner wanted to be his running mate, and now he's named his party the birthday party, which sounds like something from Alice in Wonderland. And his rallies have been scheduled in 2 states, and he's openly asking anyone to show up and support him being added to the ballot. I don't know. He named his album The College Dropout, which is fine. Like, he can run for president as a college dropout. Lots of people have accomplished a lot. But remember, when you're considering supporting him, that he said slavery was a choice for black people. So supporting Kanye is also a choice for everybody. Make a good choice. Trump bashed Fauci, Dr. Fauci, and then Pence defended him. And now we know Mike Pence's type. It's little cute Italians. Fauci is kind of cute. And he's Italian. Ed Ogeron, the head coach of LSU's football team, said to Pence, "Don't take football away from our players. They need it." Yeah, okay, coach. Let's have football and destroy the health of the entire world. Good call. Here's a joke for baseball fans. Cowboy Joe West. This is a joke, deep baseball fans. You got to be a baseball fan to know who Cowboy Joe West is. Cowboy Joe West said that coronavirus is fake and that hospitals get money if they report it. But if Cowboy Joe West is saying it's fake, that means it's real, and we should all take it seriously. Banksy's piece in the London Tube was removed as if it were regular graffiti. Experts are saying that Banksy expected his piece to be removed like it was regular graffiti, and he made it with that in mind. And I just thought, what a polite street vandal that Banksy is. The Maldives has relaxed their rules for getting guests who want to stay in their properties and lowered their rates. So quick Americans, you're always saying you want to leave. Now you have a chance. You just have to quarantine for 14 days when you come back. Reparations in Asheville, North Carolina have been greenlit by the city council. The Golden Girls house is for sale for the first time ever. It's the first time in 65 years that it's for sale. But many people that like the Golden Girls are surprised to learn that the house is actually in Los Angeles and not in Miami. And then they find out the inside of the house doesn't look anything like 4 middle-aged to older-aged women decorated it. It's actually kind of fancy. So a lot of people that like the Golden Girls are learning that sometimes things on TV are fake. Anti-maskers want to say that it's their body and their choice to wear a mask, leading to obvious parallels of women's reproductive rights. It's their body, their choice. But that makes a lot of normal people kind of side-eye and roll their eyes at the comparison to women's reproductive rights and masks, especially when people that don't want to wear masks throw tantrums in the front of Walmarts and then stab the other people that are asking them to wear a mask and then get shot by the cops or do stuff like that. And women don't generally do stuff like that. So it's not really the same. Anti-Semitism is way too much in the news this week as Deshaun Jackson made anti-Semitic remarks last week. Nick Cannon was in hot water, and even Ice Cube was boldly public in his anti-Semitic statements. But I'm going to actually leave that for What's the Tea. So let's pause on that, and let's go with our first contributor. We're going to go with one of my favorite follows, one of my favorite comics. Catch him live when you can. Oh, okay. You know what? Let's go right with the tea. Let's go right to that Nick Cannon story. Let's go with one of my favorite people, one of my friends, and a regular contributor to the show, Clifton Ellison. Clifton, can you hear me?
Hey, Suzette. How you doing?
How are you?
You know, she good. I'm good. As good as I can be. But this week has been a mess. And, you know, Mr. Drumline really done drummed himself into some bullshit this week. No, I don't know if Mariah is going to have to pull off some extra Christmas songs or something like that to get those kids together, though. But, you know, Mariah would be good, though. She did a good choice by leaving him. Now, you know, the thing about this Nick Cannon situation is that when you listen to it, you're like, I see where you're going with this. But then once the car shifted into that lane of anti-Semitism, once you started saying those things, I was like, what you doing? What you doing? Because you were there. You were there for like a second. I was like, okay, I get where you're going. But then like once he started using those words, because at first I was like, not Mr. All That, not Mr. Mass Singer, not Mr. Wild and Out. And then I listened to it and I was like, you should have known better. Somebody should have told you. Like somebody should have really been like, you might want to think this out before you say it, because a phrase that one of my favorite podcasters says, her name is Crystal, she's on The Read, by the way, it's a good podcast. Her phrase is, words mean things. So regardless of your intent, especially if you have a huge platform and you say something so boldly with your full chest, you're gonna have consequences. And right when I listened to it, I was like, oh no, yeah, you're wrong. You're wrong. And it's just, there's no, I can't sit here and make up an excuse for it. There was no excuse for it. The point could have been brought home with so many other ways. And the way how he went about it was just like, nah. And of course, you know, everything got snatched, you know, and he was one of the hardest working men in Hollywood. And now it's just, damn. And I can't really sit here and be upset at the networks, because heaven forbid if the tables were turned and it was a white person saying that about Black people, or some, you know, if the tables were reversed, we would want the same thing happening to them. So, you know, fair is fair. You, in the words of Monique, when you do clownery, the clown comes back to bite, and the clown bit.
Or I should add that a white person saying it about Jews also would be, because like that Charlottesville thing where they all had the tiki torches and they were like, Jews will not replace us. That was kind of scary too, and those were just regular old white people. So
yeah,
there is this weird, and a lot of people have trouble with it. I don't know if you want to explain.
I think a lot of people have trouble with it because sometimes, especially speaking on issues about oppression and race, a lot of times we, and I had to catch myself too, we'll jump into the oppression Olympics of who had it worse than who. And you realize that while you're trying to make your point across about what's going on with you, you lose your empathy for people who are not like you. And then you start to use condemning phrases or things of that nature without realizing that what you're putting out there, especially if you have such a huge platform, can be hurtful and will be seen as ignorant, and your point will just be completely invalid and gone because we just heard you say these things. I'm not repeating those words because I don't want no smoke. But listen, I just got my job back. I don't want no problems. I do not agree with anything that he said. Let's put that out there right now.
Oh, I know, honey.
Yeah.
No,
I just want y'all to know that.
No one can say you are a bigot of any kind.
I'm all like, nope, I don't want those problems, you know. So
well, maybe you do hate the people that are going to the parties with the COVID, but that's not a type of person.
It's a strong word, because it's
Fair.
funny you mentioned that, because someone I know actually got COVID, and they told me it was like leprosy, and how people treated them was so differently. Like he said a lot of people weren't really like saying, are you okay? Do you need anything? They were like, well, what did you do to get it? Where were you at? And like, when he said that, I was thinking in my head, I was like, you know what? Let me put the claws back in my paws for a little bit. Let me calm it on down and let me try to get that empathy back, because I feel like a lot of us have really been losing the empathy because we're upset, we're mad, we're in the house. We see James and them having pool parties, and we're just like, well, fuck you, James. I want to have a pool party too. But then it's just like, okay. But then what if James's granny gets it? You know, like it's a layered thing. And the empathy, especially with the COVID. Sorry, I'm going off topic, but I'm glad you brought that up, because that has been something deep on my chest for the last few days, especially since my friend told me. And it's a work in progress with that. So But yeah, the empathy, especially with COVID, and especially with thinking about people outside of you, outside of who you are, is something that I feel like everyone's lacking. And this Nick Cannon situation definitely kind of brings it back to you're easily using phrases that may not describe you, but they are hateful phrases. And your words have consequences. And sometimes you need to step outside of yourself and think, would somebody be offended with me saying this? If you would have thought that for like 10 seconds, you would have still had a job.
Lots of
And it's
jobs.
as simple as that. Lots of jobs, tons of jobs.
He
I
was
mean,
like
shit, I wish
he was
two
like
of
the
his
wrong
jobs.
kind of masked singer, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm. Well, in other news, hip hop vixen Meg Thee Stallion was involved in a situation last week with R&B singer Tory Lanez. Basically, what happened was they got into an argument in the car, and she got shot in the foot. And the only reason why I brought this up is because, like, everything kind of goes in a circle with what I'm talking about with empathy. So the internet can be a vicious place. 50 Cent, you know the rapper 50 Cent, Candy Shop,
I do.
It's Your Birthday. The most pettiest man on the internet posted a meme where he photoshopped Meg Thee Stallion on, I don't know if you're familiar with Boys in the Hood, you know, the scene where he's running from the car and he gets shot. Posted that and was basically like making fun of it. And it's just like, this girl just got shot. And you're sitting here making fun of it. Like, where do we go in society to where we're laughing about someone getting shot? Like, and he's always taking shots at women, and he's always extra like with women all the time. And I'm just like, where did this happen where that's okay? Like, what's going on? Are we really that bored in the house right now? Like,
You know what? I learned a phrase last night, actually. I learned what hotepping is.
yes.
And
Oh, yes.
this sounds like that. This sounds like I am pro me and who it looks like me, but not women. That's not me saying that.
That is
obviously.
50 Cent down.
And
That
also,
is
like,
him
he
down.
might be desensitized because he's been shot, what, like 37 times?
Yeah.
It's not an excuse, but
But when you see these actions, you're like, you know what? I see why. But you know that he doesn't deserve that. But I can see why people would want to do that. But it's just the insensitivity of that on the internet. And to kind of round this all back up with insensitivity, since you're familiar with makeup, do you wear a lot of Jeffree Star products at all?
I
or-
have never owned a Jeffree Star product.
Good. Because, yeah, don't do it. So Jeffree Star, you know, he's been in trouble many a times for various videos that he has said with racist undertones, and then linking himself with Shane Dawson and the other little boy that does makeup who should not be named. And it's just been this whole YouTube drama between James Charles, Shane Dawson, and him and Tati. And he went off the internet for a couple of weeks, and then he came back, of all weeks, this week, came back and basically tried to say, oh, I'm sorry for what I did. Don't cancel me. There are bigger things happening right now. Like, they haven't found, like, basically what he did was he tried to say, like, oh, they haven't found who killed Breonna Taylor, and tried to lump all of those things in there to deflect from the things that he did. And I'm just like, sir, you are caught on video calling people the N-word, gorillas, apes, everything else, multiple times. Not once, not twice, multiple times. And the internet has came for you various times. I lost count of how many times he got canceled. I feel like he gets canceled every other week. He gets canceled more than a Netflix subscription with a fake email. You know, like he every other week is something. And I'm just like, how you got this? And people still buying that eyeshadow, people still buying that lip gloss. And I'm like, is it that good?
No, go to Morphe. They have very affordable prices, and the eyeshadows are just as good, if not better. Also, I don't like this. I didn't know about that. Like, oh, there are bigger things happening. Don't cancel me because I'm a racist. Like, no. When I clean my kitchen, If the counter's not dirty, I still clean it. And if the
Yeah.
counter's dirty and I'm really going for the sink, I'm going to clean the counter too. I'm not like, oh, the sink is dirtier. Guess I can't clean the counter. Nope.
Yeah. I like that analogy, by the way. Come on, mommy dearest analogy. You know, I'm not mad at you. I'm mad at the dirt. But he just, the audacity to post that video and think that it was okay. And I'm just like, is the makeup that good that we're going to excuse that behavior? And when people have been using Breonna Taylor as a source of like meme of like, it makes me uncomfortable because I see I get the point what some people are trying to make when they're like, oh, I like pineapple on my pizza, but I also like if the killers were caught for Breonna Taylor. I'm just like, girl, why? No. Just say I want justice. You don't have to make a little cute little quirky meme and everything like that because it's kind of low key like it's offensive.
It does
'Cause I
become
would, like-
it becomes performative in a way because it's like, how clever can I be to draw attention to the punchline, which is, you know, charge and hold Breonna Taylor's killers accountable. But really, you can just say it. It's not a joke. You don't need to set it
It's
up.
not a joke.
You don't need to misdirect. You can just say justice for Breonna Taylor.
But the audacity for him to bring that up when he's being pulled to the table for things that he has done is just like, girl, no. And that's really been it this week. You mentioned the Kanye thing. I like to keep that family out of my mouth as much as possible because I feel like if we even mention them, they get some type of money because, you know, the mother of that family has a way of getting money every time they're mentioned, and I don't want to pay them. So no royalties from my mouth. So
Well,
that's
thank you.
that.
Thank you for keeping us up to
Last
date.
thing
Yes.
before we go, it was a sad time watching the discovery of Naya Rivera in the lake. I was really hoping and praying that she was somewhere else, and seeing her family out there and seeing the whole cast out there and seeing a lot of like LGBT kids on Twitter talk about how much her character really helped them come out from high school. And I know we laughed about Glee kind of being like a kids bop thing, but the show did do a lot for the youth, and that was one of the first Latin openly gay characters that a lot of kids have seen on television. And she was so young, 32, I believe, 32, 33, very young. And it's just, you know, shout out to her family, the cast, and just, you know, make sure you call your friends, make sure you try to keep in contact with people and let the stupid shit go, because life is really short. It really is. And that was one thing that really kind of like, it brought it home. I was like, damn, like she's younger than me. But
Well,
but yeah, but that's really all that's been going on in the tea world over here. Some people need decaffeinated tea because, girl.
good health to your friend. I'm sorry to hear that they've caught the COVID, but I hope they recover quickly. And
He's doing much better, being shady as ever still. But
good.
you know,
Okay.
you got to check on your shady friends too. When they're not shady, that's when you know something's going on. You know,
Sense of
call
taste goes away, but the shade stays
them.
intact.
It stays.
All right, good. Good to know. Thank you, Clifton, so much for coming by and keeping us up to date.
Thank you for having me, Suzette. Have
Absolutely.
a wonderful day. Bye.
I'll see you next week. Bye. Love you.
Love you too.
All right, Peers and Queers, that was Clifton Ellison. His information was on the bottom, right underneath him. So if you want to send him some coin, that's how you do it. Also, like I mentioned earlier, if you want to send Stab some coin, it's right here above my head. So you can do that, because this show is brought to you just because we love you guys. That was true. I just gagged on just air. Sorry, that wasn't like a reflex. Okay. Anyhow, I'm going to go with the next contributor. One of my favorite people, one of my favorite follows, one of my favorite comedians. When this is all over, you should check him out in person. But what you can't right now because of COVID, what you can do is watch his YouTube videos with editing. And Peers and Queers, give it up for In the Meantime with Mean Dave.
But yeah, so all right, we're here. In the meantime, doing a special segment. In the meantime, at the movies with me and Dave, or maybe we'll say in the movies with me and Dave. I don't know what the fuck. Well, I'll figure out something clever. It takes me a while to think of things clever, but I mentioned a movie in a post recently, and I got a Facebook message in response from David Shapiro over here, and so we wanted to talk about a cool movie called Palm Springs. If you haven't heard of it, it's on Hulu, but it's a movie produced by the Lonely Island gang, but it's not in the vein of, you know, when I signed up to watch it, I was expecting more of the same Lonely Island movies where they just throw every joke at the wall that sticks, and I like that type of shit. I love Airplane and all that crap, but this was not one of those. This was actually a story-driven movie with like with a nice little twist to it. It's got like it's not science fiction. I mean, would you call it science fiction? I don't know.
Yeah, no, I would. It's a science fiction movie, but it's a little more.
But I
it's
mean,
a little more rom-com of a science fiction movie.
Science fiction is really just a plot device rather than, it's not really some. When you think science fiction, you think like Blade Runner or fucking, whatever all that shit, as opposed to what really is essentially I mean, everybody's going to say the same thing if they see this. It's like, this is basically a romantic comedy a la Groundhog's Day. And Groundhog's Day, for all of its whatever, I mean, you could call that a science fiction device as well, being that once you say it's Groundhog's Day, you get it. It's like they relive the same day over and over and over again or whatever. Yeah. But this is it's a similar premise, but different twist on it. And so I just said that I liked the movie. I was suggesting it, and then you wrote to me about how you wanted to review the film. You were reviewing it. You posted a review, actually, I saw. And so give your review. I don't care about spoilers either. I saw in your post, like, I don't, spoil the fuck out of it for people.
So it's about a movie. It picks up with a guy who's deep into a time loop paradox. Like, he's been there for years. He doesn't even possibly remember what his job was outside of the time loop. And he accidentally brings another person into the time loop. And that kind of creates the need for him to get out. He realizes there's something to live for. Because in the time loop, and that's what I like about the movie, the time loop is, to me, a metaphor for depression, where every day is the same and nothing changes, and really your actions have no meaning. So when he brings someone else into the time loop and falls in love with her, he now has a reason to want to be with her, whether it's in the time loop or out of the time loop.
Yeah. It's funny because without really giving too much of the plot itself away, we did spoil one of the biggest early twists in it, is that because the way the movie's presented, you're watching what essentially is just going to be a romantic comedy, or what you think is a romantic comedy, for the first, 15 minutes of the movie. And then it goes into that twist when, I mean, it's really just out of nowhere when Homeboy comes out of nowhere with the arrow, and which is really funny because, in a way, I mean, I just thought of it now. I'm like, Cupid, like what are the most twisted Cupids in the fucking story. I don't even know if they meant that at all, but it is funny that he gets shot with an arrow.
I think that was actually one of my favorites as an actor. I just want to say that was one of my favorite scenes because of how realistic. I can't remember her name, but the lady lead played it.
She's I know her mostly from in the movie Wolf of Wall Street. She plays Jordan Belfort's first wife.
Kristen Milioti.
That's the actress that in this movie. Yeah. I know her from Wolf of Wall Street primarily because she did a really good job in that, and left quite an impression. She's been in a lot of stuff. I just haven't seen a lot of the stuff she's in. And then so when she popped up as the lead, the co-lead in this, I was like, oh, cool. I like her. Plays the movie more or less plays with more or less plot device misdirection. As much as what it's about, it's like I loved it because I'm thinking I'm gonna watch. I'm like, oh, they're gonna do a straightforward movie. Oh, okay, Lonely Island's trying to write now, and then it goes into that left turn. I'm like, oh shit, now we're going into some weird territory, which is nice. And then you get to see why he was responding to certain things certain ways that first time because he's been through it before. And the humor really played out through that kind of playing it straight, like playing the wackiness in the story, playing it straight. And then I thought both of them did an excellent job acting. Like Andy Samberg he's been in some comedies where he's had to do some acting and stuff, but he hasn't really, no one's really tapped him to be in anything with like really any level of like emotion or character development too often. I think That's My Boy is probably like one of his bigger ones, which I love That's My Boy, but it was not one of Sandler's more favorited movies.
Yeah, I think you're spot on because what I noticed was you go in thinking you're going to be that Andy Samberg's character is going to be your avatar, your like who you're going to view the movie from, and he's not. You're viewing the movie from Sarah's point of view.
Over. Yeah, once he gets involved, you pretty much start seeing it through her eyes.
She's like, well, I'm going to try to kill myself, and he's like, you can do that, but it sucks. Like, I'm just bracing for impact. Like those moments are so like damn, he's been here forever, and you're running through your mind as the viewer, like what would I try next? And you realize he's tried it all.
Yeah, and then not only that, the fact that she reaches those points, and then you learn more about her story. With there's other things that I don't want to spoil because that's when you get deep in the movie, but you start to see why she's reacts in certain ways, and because they clearly. What I liked is that every time you thought you saw it, you kind of knew what was coming. You didn't, and then the way it even summed up, you almost didn't know if they succeeded or not. All you know is that whatever happened, they were together, and then you kind of get inferred that they succeeded, and then it's confirmed that they succeeded through the little extra scene at the end, which is really cool. And J.K. Simmons, talk about a wonderful appearance in this movie too. I like J.K. Simmons when he pops up in cool movies.
That was another misdirect. I love when trailers misdirect me. I in my post that you mentioned, I wrote that I don't care about spoilers. I actually read reviews. Yeah. But I do like when someone edits.
I do the same. I want to tell you, I do the same thing. If I haven't seen a movie, I'm like, I don't mind knowing about it because I watch as a Marvel fan. I watch all of the shit that tell me like what the possible plots might be for everything. Yeah. Because I forget it just as quickly as I watch it. And then when I'm watching the movie, I'm like, oh, that shit was right. Oh, they pulled it off. And if it's done well, I don't care. It still works.
You still got to see it. I mean, it's one thing to know that all of the Avengers are going to line up against Thanos.
I know they're going to win. Yeah.
like they're all going to come through portals and they're going to fight him. And like, I don't care if I know that. It still hits me in the moment. That's why we rewatch movies, because you still have that feeling when you see it for the second or fourth time.
Good rewatchable movies.
Good ones. What I was going to say about J.K. Simmons is the trailer, talk about misdirects. The trailer for it made it look like he was going to be in like 75% of the movie.
Oh, really?
I thought so. It almost looked like he was going to be the sidekick to Andy Samberg's character, and you were going to get less of Kristen Miliotti's character. And that was, I mean, J.K. Simmons had 3 scenes, maybe?
He's not in a lot of it, but he punctuates. That's how they hook you in, though, man. They know how to hook you.
No, it was well done. He was used expertly. That sounds dorky, but like he wasn't overused. Not that you can't get too much of him, but his character had just the right amount.
Yeah. No, that was great. It's just one of those movies where I was surprised. I was pleasantly surprised. A buddy of mine, he posted about it the night I watched it, and he was just saying, he goes, dude, this is a good movie. I'm like, yeah, it was, wasn't it? Like, oh, shit. And I saw that in another movie, Crawl, which was on Tarantino's list last year of top 3 movies. And so I wanted to make a post, like, because I know people are looking for just anything to take their mind off of all the shit going on. And I was like, here's 2 cool movies that'll, take you. I mean, Crawl's a little more of a horror movie, but they were both pleasant surprises. They weren't like big budget movies, and I like movies that are able to like really drive things with more simple kind of shit. There's our In the Meantime, Suzette. I hope we gave you some good information and ruined a movie, a perfectly good movie that you should check out on Hulu. Palm Springs with Andy Samberg and Kristen Milioti.
Milioti, yep.
That's right.
And that's 2 people recommending, 2 good, smart people recommending that movie.
Fucking A. Check it out, man. Back to you, Suzette.
Thanks, Mean Dave. I don't know how David Shapiro convinced you to let him be in your segment. I like you just the way you are. You don't have to put him in because I see enough of him. But a really good segment from you guys. And I've always wanted a movie segment, so I'm really glad that you guys covered a movie. And I need to check out Palm Springs now and see what it's about. So I know what I'll be watching tonight after I watch the show to take notes for myself. And with that, are we good, by the way? Okay. Cool. All right. Here we go. Maybe it was hard to hear me, and we never want that. With that, we're going to go with our next contributor. Her information will be right underneath her, so if you want to send her some coin, you can. It's also going to be on the wall behind her. One of my favorite people, and I think she loves me even though she pretends she doesn't. Peers and Queers, give it up for Chelsea Bearce.
Oh, my God. It's
Hi.
not on a wall. Look, I changed my location. I'm keeping you on your toes, bitch. Look at this.
I know.
Do you see it?
Where are you?
I'm right in front of my bed.
Oh, okay.
I say change location, but I'm in the same goddamn room. So, yes. How are you?
Hot.
Yes, you are so hot. I do like a movie segment, especially with Mean Dave, because I think that you and Mean Dave look at movies differently. Like I watch theater differently because I'm involved in it. So it's like I like the way that you guys review movies. So you should definitely think about keeping that. I like it.
Okay, I'll pitch that to him.
So I never know what I'm going to talk about when I come on the show. We all know that, right?
Right.
Okay. So today, I got stood up for a date. So, what is happening? Is sound a thing?
Yeah, are you hearing the feedback too?
Yeah, it's only when I talk, so that's rude.
Oh. Yeah. 1 second. Sorry, Chelsea. We just want to fix it because I'm getting the feedback when I talk. All right.
Oh yeah, I don't hear it when you talk, but I hear a little like dog whistle when I'm talking right now.
Same thing. So leave this one on? No. Okay. How's your mic? Are you hearing the dog whistle? Okay. Off. Okay. Chelsea, can you hear me?
Yeah. You sound like you're in a tunnel, like a wind tunnel.
Okay. Hopefully that's just with you and not with the feed.
I hope so. I have no idea.
Okay. So we never know what we're going to talk about. What are we going to talk about?
That's what I said. Okay. So I never know what I'm going to talk about, but recently I got back into online dating, and I did that because my friends wanted me to. I'm very jaded when it comes to dating. Okay, I'm very, very jaded. I don't know how you feel about dating. I don't want to talk about it, but I am very jaded when it comes to dating. Okay, I've been engaged once. He physically abused me. I broke off the engagement. And I've dated just like 1 or 2 since then, and it's been a nightmare, okay? So dating online anyway is a gamble, but dating online during a pandemic and quarantine, it just makes me want to rip my own skin off. It's the worst thing on the planet. Have you ventured into the online dating during the apocalypse? Have you done that?
Not during the apocalypse, no.
Great. Okay. I highly recommend steering clear from that. I got stood up today, and it doesn't feel good.
So what were you gonna meet in person?
Yeah. So what we're gonna do was we're gonna meet outside, like at a coffee place, get coffee, and then go for a walk, like I guess a social distancing date. Like I guess that's a thing.
Mm-hmm.
But okay, here's what you also need to know is I'm in my late 30s. Okay, I'm almost done. All right, like I'm in my late 30s, and it's like my window is very small, but it's also the older I get, whoever I end up with, we're both gonna have a shit ton of baggage because we're both gonna be old. Let's all keep it real. Okay, so every relationship I get in, we're gonna come with some shit. Okay, so my thing is when I'm online dating and like if I meet somebody online, I'm not one of those people who wants to have this prolonged text relationship. No, I'm too old for that. If we have an initial attraction, we have cute conversation via text. Let's just meet up and see if this is a thing. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
And I'm smiling because I communicate with you electronically, and I know that texting, phone calls, not really. You're more of an in-person type of person.
I'm an in-person type of person.
Yeah.
I absolutely abhor talking on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
I hate talking on the phone because it drives me crazy. I also feel like I can't do multiple things if I'm talking on the phone. I'm definitely more of a text when I can kind of person. I'll send you a Marco Polo when I'm in the car. This is kind of how how I operate, right? So if I have a text conversation with some guy, which we've already proven that we're attracted to each other, now we're having a conversation, so it looks like we would have a discussion. That's good. Let's move to the next phase. Let's do that quickly because I don't want to waste time. That's my big thing. I do really bad with idle time. I'm one of those people who likes making jobs for herself. I'm doing multiple things at once. If my plate is not overflowing, then I'm not doing enough. That's how I work. Okay? You know that.
I do. I tried to pitch a new show to you. Just next time you're bored, we'll just watch Bridalplasty.
Oh, I know. Bridalplasty is completely happening. I almost talked about that this week, and I was like, no, that was a week ago. Let it go, bitch. Let's move on in life. So, Bridalplasty will definitely happen. Go.
I just want to say, I don't know this guy. I feel like Liam Neeson in Taken. I don't know who he is. I don't know anything about him. But Chelsea Bearce is a motherfucking catch. So,
well, that's nice. That's not what this segment was for.
I know, but like, don't stand you up.
I know. And that's the thing. I don't have a lot of time because I do so much shit. So if I carve out a time in my week for you, you piece of shit, you show up and we hang out. That's just what happens. That's just how it works. Don't do that. Also, what kind of foot are you starting this relationship on if you don't show up? Is it just me?
Well, that's actually my follow-up question. What would be an acceptable excuse for flaking on you?
Oh, Suzette, let me tell you the whole story. I can see Jimmy, and I think he hates me because I'm talking too much. Jimmy, are you good? I can see him in the Zoom. We're good? Okay, good.
Okay.
He's like pacing. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so boring. Okay, so here's the thing. You guys. Okay, I met him on fucking Facebook dating, okay? Which is a horrendous, it's like a horrendous branch of Facebook, okay? It's up there right next to Marketplace, okay? So just know which icon you're clicking on. Let me just say that. Okay, so it's right up there at the top next to Marketplace. It's Facebook dating. And then they tell you, like, when you go to, like, similar places, if you have mutual friends, da-da-da-da-da, because they sync it with your Facebook profile. Very good. Seems really good, right? So the last guy I dated, you guys, we had planned to go out on a date, and we met through Facebook dating, okay? Now the day comes when we're supposed to meet, and we don't have plans. I go to shoot him a text like, hey, where do you want to meet up? Blah, 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 blah. And he deleted his goddamn profile. Like, he ghosted me to the nth degree, okay? Like, I couldn't find him at all. So that was the first, and then he shows back up on Facebook Dating like 2 months later, and I was like, oh, so glad to see you're alive, blah, 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 blah. And then we ended up dating for 2 months. Whatever. Next. So anyway, that ended. Now I'm back on Facebook Dating again because I am a glutton for punishment. I'm a masochist and I want to be hurt. So I'm back on Facebook Dating, you guys, and this guy pops up in my life, and we start texting. Great. The texting turns, or the messaging turns to texting. Great. And then we make plans to meet. We were supposed to meet today at 4 p.m. That was the plan. Okay? Now, he lives in Antioch. I live in Benicia. Okay? For those of you that are not in the Bay Area, that is a very short drive. We're talking 25 minutes. Okay? It's not a bad drive. But I made the idea of let's meet in the middle and go have coffee in the middle so one person's not going to the other person's place. Right? That's smart.
Very
Meet
considerate.
in the middle, go for a walk, have some coffee, okay? And he tells me last night, I said, so, we can meet, blah, blah, blah. This is what time I'm free, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, oh, well, I'm in Modesto all day tomorrow, so I'll just let you know if I'm available. And I'm like, why did you make plans? You made fucking plans with me. And then you're going to tell me all of a sudden magically you're in Modesto for 2 fucking days and you'll maybe see me if you have time? I'm not kidding. So then today, I don't hear anything from him, okay? I host a show at 2 p.m. So I host my show at 2 p.m. and I have a text message from him that's like, hey, sweets, what are you doing? And I was like, I'm hosting a show right now. Hope you're having a good day, blah, 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 like whatever. And I don't bring up the fact that we're still supposed to meet at 4 p.m., right? And neither does he. He writes back, yep, having a great day, thanks. That's it. That's his fucking response. And I was like, all right, bye, bitch. Like, how much do I have to fucking do? Like, this is not all on me. Right? So, I'm so sorry. I'm really screaming right now because I'm so upset. But, so then I don't hear from him for the rest of the day, right? 4 o'clock comes and goes. 4 o'clock is gone. It's fucking gone. Okay, so I live my life. And then I swear to God, Suzette, this happened. I log into your show. I'm sitting in the Zoom waiting room, waiting for my little segment to start. And this piece of shit calls me out of nowhere, right? So I text him, can't answer your phone call right now. I'm on a comedy show. Sorry about it. And he writes back, it's cool. I left you a voicemail. And I said, I'll check it when I can. But it would have been nice to meet you today. And he writes back, I swear, no, fuck it. I'm going to read it word for word because I don't want to fuck this up. He writes back, dead ass. I swear to God. He writes back, if it's meant to be, it will be. If it's meant to be, it will be.
What?
You piece of trash. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I can't.
I'm going to go ahead and just pause this segment and ask my viewers if you could send Chelsea whatever, I don't even know what Bumble is, but $10.99 a month or whatever the fuck they charge. Get this girl off of Facebook Dating. What is this trash? If it will
Bitch,
be,
I'm on Bumble.
it will
no,
be.
I'm on Bumble too. I'm on Bumble.
Get off Facebook, girl.
I'm just saying. All of them are trash. I'm saying there's not a good one out there.
If it will be,
we
it will
can't blame the sites.
That's
we
what
need to blame the parasites that are a part of this. That's what we need to fucking blame.
That's how most people pick watermelons. If it will be, it will be. Like, if this is a good one, I hope it's a good one. And you can learn, like, the stripes and the color of the sunspot and shit. But, like, that's not what you send to a person, let alone a lady.
There was literally never a, hey, my bad. Hey, I'm not going to make it. By the way, do you want to postpone our date? Nothing. No consideration at all. I get a call 3 hours later and then a text message. If it's meant to be, it will be. What the fuck?
Okay. You produce a comedy show during regular life, right?
Yes.
If a comic just didn't come to the show and then 3 hours later texted you and was like, if I can make it sometime, I'll make it. Would you ever book them again?
That's what I'm saying. If it's meant to be, it will be. That's something that you say that about what? you say that about finding a 4-leaf clover. You say that about a bar being open before its grand opening date. That's what you fucking do. If you make plans with someone, guess what, garbage face? You make it fucking happen. Like, I don't understand this. If it's meant to be, it will be. No, you made plans. You fucking make it happen. Like, I don't understand people that have no character at all or any consideration for another human in their life. I don't fucking get it.
I actually think this guy is less than, like, if he had just flaked on you and like ghosted you, that's like bad. But to flake on you and then text you that garbage?
Right. Yes, exactly. Yes. I'm not dating fucking Yoda. I don't need a riddle sent to me in a text message 3 hours late. I don't need that.
He's not as smart as Yoda. Yoda would have been on time, I think. I don't actually know anything about Star Wars. But my point is, this motherfucker's not Yoda.
What?
This guy's not Yoda.
He's not Yoda. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And it was just like the thing that was on my heart today because I was in a kind of a bad place. I'm very jaded when it comes to dating. I don't feel like I'm gonna find anyone. Like these are just thoughts that I have in my life. One of my best friends just got engaged and she's very, very happy and I'm very happy for them. But it did kind of put things into perspective where I was like, you know what? Like I don't know. I'm older than I look. That's real. I also have a 4-year-old son, so I come with a little bit of baggage, but it's also still like I don't feel like it's hopeless, but I'm getting pretty goddamn close to thinking it. You know what I mean?
I am nodding along with you because as a lady in her late 30s, also with a lot of baggage, also not a natural blonde, I understand.
Yes, I know. And that's why I wanted to come and this was my form of therapy today, and you helped me get through it, so thank you.
Oh, I'm glad that I actually was useful for once.
Yeah, I didn't say that.
Oh, okay.
But thank you so much for giving me the platform. How about that?
That is my pleasure. Anytime.
I love you so much.
I love you too, and Bridalplasty will be on. We'll just have to see when Jesse has an open slot.
Yeah, absolutely. I have the entire season. I have it ready in my Apple TV. We're ready to go. So let's just find the date and figure it out. Okay.
All right. It's on. I love you, Chelsea. Thanks for coming on.
Bye.
Peers and Queers, that was Chelsea Bearce. Send her some affection in her Venmo for that nonsense. This next interview guest is not a garbage human being like that. He's actually a good guy. Let me go to the intro that I wrote because I'm professional. He is an international comedian. He produces a show during non-COVID times called There Goes the Neighborhood. You can catch him. But he's still producing his show during the COVID times online. So you can catch him on the online show. The next one is July 31st. Peers and Queers, give it up for Jimmy Earl.
Yes, thank you, Suzette.
Yeah, hey, Jimmy.
Is there any way, can I follow? Yeah, let me follow Chelsea. Is that a possibility? That's like following Dave Chappelle. Thank you for that. That was...
Well, I mean, first off, just warm yourself to the audience. If you were producing a comedy show and a comedian just flaked on you, would you give him a second chance?
I actually would, but
really,
you're missing my point. You got to fix the lineup. I should have gone before Chelsea. She was.
No, sir, you're good. We know what we're doing.
Hey, by the way, Suzette, thank you for having me. Who's that Dave fella? Or no, Dave Shapiro. It's very uncanny.
Oh.
How alike you two look.
Well, people say that, but
what?
He's ugly, so, and I'm not. So I don't know. I think it's the eyes.
Is it? I do like Shapiro because we have a very common love, the common love in hockey, right?
Oh, I actually like hockey more than he does.
Is that a fact?
Yeah.
He's a Chicago Blackhawk fan.
He is, and I was saving this for later in the interview as a big reveal, but I'm wearing black and yellow because our teams are facing up in a playoff series.
Whose team?
Your team and my team.
Oh, Suzette's a Pittsburgh Penguin fan. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Well, yes. Well, here's the deal. I actually want Montreal to tank
Oh, really?
because this dude coming up in the draft. So the 8 teams that lose in the first round, one of those guys is going to get the first round draft pick.
Okay.
And this guy, he is touted to be the next Connor.
Connor McDavid?
Connor McDavid, yeah. Isn't that crazy?
That's
And-
a big player.
It is, and he's French Canadian. So the moons are aligning perfectly for him to be a Montreal Canadian.
Well, then go Penguins, and I hope that the Canadians lose, and then we both are happy.
Yeah, exactly.
So what have you been up to during the pandemic?
What have I been up to? So, you know what, I've been crashing comedy scenes around the world, which I just stumbled on a comedy scene in Malaysia. I stumbled on a comedy scene in South Africa, talking to some chaps in Japan, doing a show, Ron Jossel's show. He has a bunch of Canadians on it. So yeah, I'm just kind of doing stuff that I wouldn't normally have time to do and investigate other comedy scenes, which has been turning out. It's actually pretty fun. I've been on a couple of their shows, and it's kind of a nice little experiment to see if I translate well, how my jokes do. Some don't, so it's kind of a nice little exercise.
That is something. So when you do stand up during non-COVID times, you actually travel and appear live. So are you finding newer markets that you haven't been to in person?
Yeah, the Malaysia one, hopefully one day I can take my wife over there, go to Australia, and just kind of hit that part of the world. And I have a couple contacts that hopefully I can get some stage time. So kind of exciting.
Is there a difference between doing, because there's we talk a lot about it on the show because I have a lot of comedians come on like yourself. Is there a difference? Obviously there is a difference between live and streaming comedy. Is there a difference when it's international between live and streaming comedy?
I think the Zoom shows are pretty much the same here and there. You know, you got to watch the references, obviously, whether live or Zoom. Sometimes the references, you got to make sure your references are going to hit in other parts of the world. That's really, you got to do a little research. So like example, I have a joke about cleats. And in Stockholm, Sweden, believe it or not, even though they play a lot of soccer, no one knew what cleats were. So that joke definitely bombed hard.
What do they call them? Did you learn?
I think I was too traumatized.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have any. I haven't traveled internationally, but when I do jokes outside of Sacramento, you know, like I have a joke where I talk about the Safeway with the big horse in front of it. That's funny for people in Sacramento because it makes no sense that there's a horse in front of a grocery store, like a big metal sculpture, in case anyone is watching. But I can't really reference that when I'm in San Francisco or anywhere else,
right?
Because they have no idea what I'm talking about. So I think that's just something, you know, we learn as comedians.
Right.
But cleats is a tricky one because that's.
Would it work if you described that there was a horse in front of this supermarket, or would it wreck your punchline?
I think it would, because it's more just a throwaway. It's about, because I'm using it to identify which Safeway I was at. So that's why I say the one with the horse, and then I say it makes no sense. So I guess if I wanted to, I could say I was at a grocery store, and this particular grocery store has a big horse sculpture in front of it, like a massive horse sculpture in front of it, which makes no sense. So it wouldn't really lose anything, but I kind of feel like it's extraneous at that point.
Right.
Whereas, like, I'm racking my brain, like with cleats, if that's the punchline, or if it's important to the punchline, you almost have to like run your Is that something you're gonna do from now on? Maybe like run your stuff by somebody and say like, are there any words that are different?
Well, like even if I travel here in the U.S., there's definitely local references. Like I think I use Modesto, so I have to find the Modesto equivalent in wherever I am, Cedar Rapids. So yeah, you definitely have to do a little research. Even here in this country.
Right, right.
Yeah.
What's your new favorite market that you've explored?
I think the Malaysia gang have been really supportive. They asked me to. They do this weekend Zoom show when they were locked down. It was 3 headliners, and I was lucky enough to be invited. So this is what. Oh, by the way, their start time is 6 in the morning our time, so that was interesting. So I prepared my 15 minutes, and it turns out that because it was on July 4th, the 2 other Americans no showed. So I ended up doing about 40 minutes with some locals. So
Now-
that was interesting.
When you do it, is it because I've seen both kind of Zoom shows. I've seen the kind where the audience logs in, and I've also seen the kind where only the comics are in. Which kind was the 45 minutes?
Yeah, so luckily the crowd was in the Zoom show, which was good because you're right, I did riff a little bit, which helped kind of involve them, and I think it helped the show. I had to definitely call an audible because I was really just planning to go like 10 to 12 minutes, so I had to adjust on the fly. But yeah, it was fun.
But I mean, you are being modest at the top of the segment when you said Chelsea should be following you. You do 45 minutes on occasion.
Well,
I mean, not all the time, but
I guess-
you're
I
not
guess my-
foreign to it.
Yeah, I guess she's just very animated. You're captivated by what she says, and then here I am in my Filipino glasses, in my shorts, scratching my legs, and kind of a deadpan approach. It's just the deadpan probably should have gone before her, I guess is what I'm saying.
Hey, you know what? Different people have different tastes, Jimmy, and a
You're
lot of people
right,
like
you're
deadpan.
You're right.
So, when you travel, so you like Malaysia virtually. When you travel in person in a non-COVID time, what's your favorite city for comedy?
Oh man, that's a good question. I mean, stuff to do after the performances or the actual city with the comedy club?
Oh, I don't know. However you want to answer. If you want to say both,
Okay, well,
you can.
believe it or not, there's a comedy club in Tucson called Laughs Comedy Cafe. It is my ultimate favorite club. It's like batting practice. You could words like is, and, or but get applause breaks. I mean, it's an incredible club. And then the next comedy club, I love doing Wise Guys in Salt Lake City, and that's just comedy clubs. But as far as the city, I had a good time. I love Phoenix, I love Chicago, and I was able to go to Miami Improv with J.R. DeGuzman and Diego, and that was a fun town.
Right on. What's your favorite international city so far that you've been to in person?
Probably Copenhagen.
Oh.
Yeah, I was surprised that they got me. I was surprised they got me, and they're such comedy fans, and they starve for English comedy, so that was pretty cool.
Oh.
They're really cool over there. Yeah.
I'm just gonna make a note of that really quick. Copenhagen.
Yeah, hit me up, man. I have some places. So
yeah. What about your favorite Canadian city to do comedy in?
That would have to be Edmonton. I've performed in Edmonton probably the most, and I'm kind of used to. Edmonton is a very blue collar Canadian town, and they're a little bit non-PC, so I don't have to be as careful when I'm in Vancouver. They're a little bit sensitive there. I just like Edmonton.
So it sounds, I mean, blue collar, non-PC, kind of like a Pittsburgh or a Chicago.
Chicago's actually, they're not PC, but they're a little bit more sophisticated. I would say probably, and I hate to slam the Bay Area, but San Francisco is probably the tightest, tough crowd to me, because I really have to watch what I say when I go to SF or the Bay Area. So yeah, I Edmonton would probably be like Sacramento actually.
Oh, okay.
It's a little blue collar versus PC in Sacramento, but not all the time. I mean, Laughs Unlimited seems to me very blue collarish, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, it depends who's there, because obviously different people pull different comics. But I would say, yeah, you get more of a working sensibility from the crowd at Laughs in like a good way, you know?
Yeah.
Is there a city that you aren't in a hurry to get back to?
Oh man, that's a good question. Like I said, I kind of struggled in Stockholm. Are you talking about here in the U.S.?
We'll do both.
Yeah, Stockholm was a little tough, and I actually, which is really strange, I actually struggled a little bit in Jacksonville,
Huh.
and I think it was because, okay, this is a horrible story. So I was opening for Carlos Mencia. We were having lunch, and I just had to mention, I don't know why I seem to struggle with the urban crowd. I really need to get better with that. So after his set, he calls me up on stage. You know, people have been sitting down for 2+ hours already. Calls me up. Meanwhile, the front area is about 90 people of African Americans visiting from New Orleans for an NFL football game in Jacksonville. And then Carlos says, "What were you saying to me at lunch?" And I said, "Oh, nothing. I didn't say anything." "No, come on. What did you tell me at lunch?" And I went, "I feel I don't relate well with the urban crowd." And I heard this lady in the front that went, So probably that was a pretty traumatic weekend for me. So Jacksonville probably, but they're great people over there. But that one was a tough weekend.
That sounds like maybe you said that the crowd was partially from New Orleans. So I think maybe we should give New Orleans some credit for that answer. And not so much Jacksonville. That was the site of the experience, but it wasn't the crowd.
Yeah, it could be, but all I know, it was in Jacksonville. That's all I remember. So, yeah, that was a interesting learning weekend, definitely.
When you go to, because I follow you on Instagram, so I actually know the answer. But when you travel for comedy, you really make sure to see the sights. And I wouldn't say Jacksonville has the best sights to see.
There's this coastal town, St. Augustine. Have you heard of this town?
Yep.
There's a fort there that was built in the 1600s, and that fort is still there, and that little town is amazing. So I was able to go over there while all the other comics were sleeping. I can't sleep till 5 p.m. It's just I can't. So I'm either going to art museums or I'm gonna explore St. Augustine. That's my thing.
Well, and I always see when you're in Vancouver, you always take the most beautiful pictures and you post them to Instagram.
Oh, yeah, thanks. I guess because I have nothing else to do.
Well, I mean, if you're not sleeping till 5.
By the way, I really enjoyed Chicago's Art Museum. That is probably one of my favorites now.
In Chicago?
Yes.
Okay.
Did you ever watch Ferris Bueller's Day Off? I'm sure you have.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Remember that whole segment in the art museum?
I do.
Yeah, I hit every piece in that movie, like every piece Matthew Broderick was focusing in on, and regardless though, it's a great museum. You've been to that one, obviously, right?
I have been.
And
yeah.
Did you enjoy it, or?
Yeah, I do. I think there's a lot to do in Chicago, so it kind of blends
That's
in.
not
with-
your top. That's not your top 5, is what you're saying.
Not really. But it is, I mean, as far as museums go, that's a good one. And then, of course, New York has a good one. I think those are probably my biggest 2 art museums.
Nice. I haven't hit any of the New York ones yet. So my top 2 right now are Philadelphia, the Rocky Stairs, Philadelphia, and the Chicago one. Those, man, can't wait to go back.
Yeah,
Those-
you'll have to check out New York, the MoMA,
Yeah.
and then tell me where it ranks. I wanted to ask you, so you not only perform in comedy, like I mentioned when I introduced you, you produce comedy shows. What do you like about producing?
So, when I first started this thing, I guess one of the things that just stuck in my head, I don't even remember who it was. It said, create your own stage. And I said, okay. I mean, I thought that was the thing to do. So, that's probably one of the things I did right away is just produce my own shows to create my own stage time. The negative part is you get stressed out so much about numbers and about the lineup, about cancellations. There have been times where you just actually don't even enjoy your comedy set because you're so stressed out. That's the negative. So the true talent is finding that balance
Yeah.
of producing and enjoying your comedy set. And it's kind of evolved. I try not to do any of the bar stuff anymore. I try to do it at comedy clubs, exclusively comedy clubs, off nights, obviously, because I can't do the weekends. And it's been working out.
That's cool. I totally agree with what you say about producing. Sometimes, because I do the same, and you don't get to think about what you're going to do until basically you step on stage and you're like, oh, right. Because you're so worried about everything else, making sure the tickets are sold, making sure the people are in, making sure the guest list was there, making sure
Right.
people are happy and they have the right seats, all your comics are there. No one is like Chelsea's date and flaked. And you don't get to think about what you actually want to talk about until
Yeah.
you're up there and you have 30 seconds to yourself before you're introduced and you're like, right.
And what's worse, and when there's added drama,
Oh yeah.
when comic A is trying to needle and get under the skin of comic B who's closing out the show. I think you know what story I'm talking about, and stuff like that is just, it really irritates me because it's like, I don't need that right now. I'll message you to remind you of what's talking
Okay.
about.
Okay. I
Yeah.
was like, do we want to talk about that? No, we don't. But message me
don't.
because that is some tea that I would like spilled. So when you do live comedy, you said you like it's Laughs in Tucson?
Laughs Comedy Cafe in Tucson. And what's really sad, I was supposed to be there in the beginning of July. Obviously, they had to cancel. They said they might not, you know what, this is rumor. This is from a third party. They said they might not be able to survive the second shutdown. So I'm really kind of bummed out. The comedy club in Scottsdale where I started out, the comedy spot, already closed down because of COVID. So yeah, the small clubs, man, it's a tough thing. It's kind of a sad thing going on.
It is. I read today that they might have a new stimulus check that's recurring monthly. That would help a lot of people if
Yeah.
they extended this and maybe help some businesses stay open. So I hope that happens.
Yeah,
Would
I
you-
do too.
What would you say is the most interesting? So that's maybe your favorite venue. What's the most interesting venue you've ever performed at?
San Jose Improv is really interesting to me because I guess Houdini performed there, and I forget the list of comedy legends and performers that I don't even remember what theater it was called before the San Jose Improv, but to be on a stage where Houdini was on and some other famous comedians around near the turn of the century, and it's kind of cool.
That is really cool. I didn't know that about the I've actually never been. I don't even. Where is it in San Jose?
like right downtown. It's a refurbished old theater. I forget the street, but yeah, just all these legends. I would Google. I should Google it again. But there was like a whole list of these icons that performed there from the 20s and the 30s. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's even before stand-up comedy started, really.
Yeah, I guess is that vaudeville? I mean, all
Yeah.
the vaudeville artists. So that was yeah, just a list of those guys. It's kind of
No,
it's
yeah,
kinda cool.
they're entertainers in their own right, but
Right.
stand-up comedy, one person in front of a mic on stage is maybe 70 years old at most.
So I have a question. How did you feel about emceeing my show this past Friday with some international comics? Was it did you have to adjust a little bit, or how did you feel?
No, it was I think the hardest thing about emceeing a show in the COVID times virtually is you're on camera the whole time, at least with your show, and so you
Right.
want to stay focused and attentive, not just because you're watching the comics, but I think as comedians we tend to kind of take a couple minutes to ourselves when we're off mic, but you really want to stay on the whole time. So I think that was the biggest adjustment.
Right.
Did I do okay?
You did great.
Okay.
I think I'm just gonna rotate you, Curtis, and myself. I think you guys have it down. Curtis does a weekly show, so he's a good MC. You MC your shows constantly, so
Mm-hmm.
I think the MC is such an important part of the show. They're not going to be the headliner, but they definitely have to set the tone. So I think I kind of like hosting because even though I'm not going to be the headliner, it's not all about me. It's such an important part of the show. If you have a shitty MC host, it's really, in my opinion, it's really tough to recover from that.
Well, that brings up two thoughts that I have. So the first one is in the drag world, which I have one of my heels in. The host is actually usually the draw. That's the most coveted spot, is to be the host of the show, because you're right. Like it's kind of the hub of the wheel. Everything is kind of coming off of that. So you want to make sure you have a competent person,
Right.
a good person doing it. And then
So are you saying then on a show like that, the headliner is usually the host?
it depends on the show. So like there's at Badlands here in Sacramento, they have a big drag show every third Friday, and it's called Fridays Are a Drag. And the host of the show is Taryn Through You, and she is the draw for that show. Unless they book a Rue girl, like a girl from RuPaul's Drag Race, and then they'll come in. But and then they don't usually host. They'll usually just like go where the headlining comic would go. But what I was gonna say is it's more like what I've heard about, and I was gonna ask you if this is true, the Canadian model for shows, where the host is pretty much the second most important person to the headliner, and everyone else. Like I heard you have to have credits to be a host in Canada.
So it's really just one club. Maybe there's other clubs, but the club I think you're referring to is House of Comedy, and that model is the same model they use at the House of Comedy in Phoenix, and the one in Edmonton, and the one in I think Minnesota somewhere. So yeah, you're right. Their feature is the MC host. And believe it or not, the booker in Reno Tahoe Comedy has the same model. Their feature is also the host. They have an intermission, and you have to get the crowd warmed up again. So yeah, it's definitely an important spot in Reno and in the House of Comedy chain, definitely.
How do you feel about comedy shows with intermissions?
I hated it at first. Absolutely hated it because, well, the other thing that this one club does, not only do they have an intermission, but they give away tickets, and the guy giving away tickets to future shows is going shirtless and has tassels on his nipples, and the crowd is getting whipped in a frenzy. And then I got to go back and go, knock, knock, who's there? I mean, it's really tough to kind of transition back into stand-up after that. But I have learned to deal with it, and it's a good exercise to kind of get in those awkward situations, because I think it's important to grow as a comic. So
I think stretching your ability to like you mentioned, doing weekly shows. You mentioned Curtis Newingham and me having my weekly show here. Oftentimes there's nobody here except Jesse and I, and telling jokes to a webcam is not what I'm used to, and so you have to get used to that, and you have to kind of beat the pacing, and you can't wait for the laugh. You have to just kind of it's tricky, because you want to wait for the laugh in case people are laughing if you know what you said is really funny, but you don't want to wait too long. You just want to keep it moving. Right,
because you don't want to make that awkward moment a little bit more awkward.
Right.
So yeah, I totally agree. It's a tough thing, but believe it or not, I'm actually starting to enjoy the Zoom shows. One, I can be in my underwear right now, right? We obviously can't do that regularly. And I get to stay home with the family, so there's a lot of pluses to the Zoom show.
I will say I have done one set in underwear before. So but that's unique. I get away with quite a bit. So
was it a thong, or was it a granny set, or
it was lingerie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
cool.
So there was a thong. I had a robe, so I could kind of cover up. There's a picture on Instagram, because when you got legs like me, you gotta post it. But it was a little bit vulnerable.
Oh, I'm gonna search your page now. I'm gonna scroll. Okay, I have one more question for you.
Yeah.
Am I wrong to assume that I feel that you had this market way before anyone else, and this was your thing, a unique thing, and all of a sudden a shit ton of other people are starting to do this? Am I wrong on that? Don't be modest.
What are the streaming show?
No, the drag show. I'm sorry.
The drag show. Who else is doing it?
It seems like, isn't there a group that goes to Punchline now and Cobb's? And I swear to God, I thought you did it first, and now there's another group doing it.
I did.
And
I shouldn't comment on that.
Okay, but my opinion, I thought you paved the way for that, and I was just making sure that, am I missing something? How is it you can do two shows almost exactly the same? But I don't know. Maybe I don't know the politics involved, or. Okay, don't say anything.
We'll message later. I'll trade you.
Okay, got you.
You owe me one, and I owe you one now, and the crowd is like.
By the way, I'm also watching RuPaul. Probably in the last 6 months. My wife is so into that.
Yeah.
So how is he not aging? He looks the same.
Oh,
because she looks the same.
Black don't crack.
It's crazy.
Jimmy, you know that.
I know, but seriously, she looks the same as 20 years ago. But I mean, I know they don't crack, but seriously, how is it the makeup? I mean, it's just amazing.
No, it's just genetics. It's melanin, I've heard.
Come on.
I'm stepping lightly here. You're my friend.
She's been going a long time. I mean,
for sure.
No saggy. Look at my neck's getting saggy. I see no sagginess in her neck. Look at that.
Well, that could be
surgery.
Surgery. I don't know. Everyone knows RuPaul is into fracking, but I don't know about skin fracking. I'm making things up now. I should stop trying to make jokes on the spot. But yeah, I mean, and certain white people like Paul Rudd doesn't age. and Cher. I mentioned Cher earlier.
Yeah.
She doesn't age. So it's just some people are lucky, and RuPaul is very lucky. I'm trying to think. There are drag queens that show their age though, but makeup does a lot.
Okay.
So, one thing I wanted to ask you, and thank you for asking me questions, by the way. No one ever does. Was a lot of comedians when approached, people will say, "Hey, should I do comedy?" And the comedians will say, "No, don't do comedy." You're actually encouraging your son to get into comedy.
It's a little sensitive topic between my wife, myself, and my son. But if he wants to explore it, who am I to get in his way? He actually he had a little Instagram page on the U of O campus, and it got a little traction. He did some songs on the women's basketball team that kind of got traction, got attention with some of the players, and I think he enjoyed the celebrityness of it all, and man, he gets way more likes than I do. That's all I know. I mean, it's pretty amazing to watch that whole thing evolve over the last 4 years.
Well, as parents, you want your kids to outshine you, right?
Yeah. Well, no, not really.
You're like, yeah, as long as we're not on the same lineup, and then sure, whatever. But if it's the same lineup, then I want to get more shine.
Yeah.
So I did want to ask you about hockey, and we talked a lot about it at the top of the segment.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird. I don't know how many people watching are hockey fans, but in one division they're doing like traditional playoff seeding 1 through 8, and in the other conference they're doing round robin.
I don't know what's going on. There's a lot of there's a player on the Montreal Canadiens who's a type 1 diabetic, and there's talk of him not even playing, and he's one of the better players. There's talk of a lot of Canadian teams are concerned about playing American teams and traveling to the States. And yeah, I don't know how this is going to pan out. All I know is I want that number 1 draft pick. I think that's that's all I care about right now.
Yeah.
His name is Alex. Oh man, I'm gonna butcher his name. Bernier. It's a French Canadian name. I should know it, but I keep screwing the name up, so I'm not.
No. As a sports fan, don't get too invested until he's on your team.
Right.
Yeah.
Jinx
It hurts. It hurts when you get really invested in a potential player, free agency or draft.
You know, Suzette, that Sidney Crosby wanted to be a Montreal Canadian. You do know that, right?
Yeah, but he's not. He's right where he belongs in Pittsburgh. Would you say that you're like? Do you believe in secondary teams? Would you say that the Oilers are like your? Because you said you do like Edmonton, like to travel there. Do you find yourself rooting for their team when you're watching?
Never.
Really? Is that because?
Being a Montreal fan, I think it's like being a Red Sox or a Yankee fan. Once Montreal is out of the playoffs, I don't give a shit about hockey. I won't even watch the playoffs. I don't know stats and players of other teams like I should, because I watch a lot of hockey. I just like, I couldn't even tell you if Sidney Crosby is a right wing or a left wing. Is he a right? He's a lefty, right?
Yeah.
See, I should know that, but I don't. So yeah, once Montreal is out, I'm done. It's a weird thing. Montreal fans are weird, and I think I'd like to compare. I think it's like a Yankee fan or a Red Sox fan. Seriously, it's like so devout, so diehard, so rabid.
Well, those fan bases, they know a lot about. Well, okay, yeah, I'd say that's a good analogy. You're right. I think you're right, because they're not really paying attention to the other teams. They're so focused on the AL Central, or I'm sorry, the AL East, and what's going on there, that they don't care what's happening in San Diego. You know.
So how does how does David feel about? Have you talked to him about? Is Chicago in the last 16 round robin?
They are.
So,
They're
wow.
12 seed.
So
Like
you
the
get to
Canadiens.
watch. You and David get to watch a couple of series right in the beginning there. That's great.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. This is like just playoffs. That's the best part of hockey, right? So like, I know it's not a second season because the season kind of paused, but now we get to just pick up in the playoffs. That's what we always want, right?
I'm a little bit concerned that players aren't in game shape. So I'm a little bit concerned about injuries, and I mean this is, and then on the other side of that, guys that were injured back in March have now rehabbed and are ready to go. But I'm a little bit concerned about injuries, and it might be these types of injuries when you're playing playoff hockey and you're not in game shape. I mean, man, that there could be some serious injuries.
Well, it's an adjustment for everybody, just like for us as comics. You know, we have to adapt and figure out how to shake off the rust and
How
do 45 minutes.
how in love is David with Patrick Kane? What an amazing player! I mean, he's an amazing player, right?
Yeah, I like Taze. I miss Taze being really, one of the better players for me.
I know.
I
but-
think David likes I think he liked Duncan Keith, and that's a long time gone. But I mean, Kane's amazing.
Yeah, I feel like you're not a huge Kane fan, or he's not a huge Kane fan. Is that by your reaction? I guess.
I mean, he doesn't usually like the best player on the team because he's
Really?
weird. Yeah,
That's interesting.
yeah.
But Duncan Keith and Taves are unfortunately in the twilight, right? And it's kind of sad to see because you're right. Taves was an amazing player. I remember this play he did when he was 19. He went around 3 defensemen, deked out the goalie. I mean, the guy was incredible.
Oh, yeah.
Incredible player.
Yeah, no, I mean Chicago had their Connor McDavid, and we had ours in Pittsburgh, and Edmonton has Connor McDavid, and so if you get this guy, this French Canadian, you'll know what it's like too.
Yeah, I'm praying every day.
Are you ready for rapid fire questions?
Okay, let's go.
Okay, Jimmy Earl.
My
here we go.
lighting is starting to suck though. Sorry about that.
That's okay. Let's see. Pull it up. Any questions? We're good? Okay, cool. If you were performing tonight, what would your walk-up song be?
I don't know. Something by New Order.
Okay. We already talked about your favorite venue. What's your favorite show? Do you have a favorite show to perform in?
You're talking about a comedy show.
Yeah.
Okay. When it was going strong, there was a show that Russell Peters, Joe Coy, Angela Johnson started, and I was lucky to be a part of it. After those guys, it's called the Slanted Comedy. I don't know if you remember that show.
I don't, but my DJ watches every show, and he loves Angela Johnson. So.
Yeah, so Slanted, funny story, it got picked up by Showtime, and they did not approve of the Slanted name, so they changed it to Pacific Rim Comedy. That's so stupid.
What do you think about PC culture invading comedy?
You know what? If it's gonna hurt someone, I mean, even though sometimes it seems very extreme, if it's gonna hurt someone, comedy shouldn't hurt anyone. That's why I don't like talking Trump, because people have come to a show, they paid good money, got babysitters, and the last thing I want to do is piss them off.
That's fair.
Yeah.
It's funny because I've been trying to get Ty Rivera on the show, and he has the opposite opinion on that. What is the funniest thing an audience member has ever said to you after a show?
After a show?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, dude, have you heard this one? So it's not just one. It's that when I hear that, I have to be nice and listen to the whole damn joke. Have you heard this one? And I just got to put that smile on my face. But when I hear, have you heard this one? I wanna slip my wrists.
Yeah, I love a cousin to that is when you're out and somebody says like, "What do you do?" and you like, "Oh, I do stand up," and they say, "Oh, tell a joke now."
Yeah, yeah.
Like I'm not at work. My comeback is actually like, "What do you do?" And then they say something like, "Oh, I work at Costco," and I'm like, "Oh, can you get me some rice now?" And they're like, "No, I'm at a bar," and I'm like, "Exactly." Who's your favorite comic?
You know what? I'm going to have to say, man, it's a little, it's. I was inspired to start comedy with Russell Peters and Joe Coy. I know it. I know it's maybe too cliche. It's a little cliche, but yeah, and a close third, a close second and third is probably Carlos Mencia. So those are probably my top three.
You've worked with all of those guys, also.
Yeah, Joe Coy was one. Worked with him in a slanted comedy, but I don't think he remembers me. Like if I were to walk up to him, he would know. But the other two, I think they would know who I am. So I worked with the other two fairly. Worked with them often, but Joe Coy, I was lucky to work with him once, so that was an honor.
Oh, I'm sure Carlos Mencia remembers you because he put you on the spot in Jacksonville, so
yeah,
he didn't forget that.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
You're a parent. This is a question I ask to parents. Do you have a least favorite kids show?
Kids show like
TV show?
Oh shoot. I think that whole Pokemon thing just really got under my skin, and I only because I had to not only watch it, I had to go to Toys R Us and buy every one of those characters in a ball, and they all look alike to me. I had no idea what I was getting, and apparently I was getting the same character like 5 times in a row. I had no idea.
It is confusing because they evolve, and sometimes they look like the same character but slightly different.
I know.
I can see how that can happen. Did you have a favorite was there an adult show that was disguised as a kid show that you liked when your kid watched because you could enjoy it?
I think SpongeBob had a lot of innuendos. I think, right?
Yeah.
So I think SpongeBob was pretty good. The writers were pretty good at entertaining both audiences.
What is your favorite sex position?
Let me think about that. Being Asian, I think doggy.
Okay, I'm gonna move on because I'm gonna stay PC. Do you cook or bake?
Neither.
Okay. If someone's buying us shots at the bar, what are we shooting?
I've been into a whiskey lately. I've been doing a Crown Apple. Is that a shooting drink? I don't even know.
It is if you shoot it.
Yeah, Crown Apple is. In fact, I was enjoying some while the other guests were on. So.
Okay. Toilet paper hang over or under?
I don't actually know.
Really? You're the second person I've had on the show that didn't know.
I don't take notice, actually.
Okay. That is a big thing for some people. Do you have a favorite drag queen?
RuPaul now. Oh, sorry. Suzette.
It's okay if RuPaul's a pretty established one, but thank you. Do you have a favorite Canadian?
Oh, man. It would have to be Montreal Canadian Hall of Famer Guy Lafleur. I don't know.
I just meant like Canadian national, but same answer?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Guy Lafleur. That answers the next question. Favorite hockey player? I'm going to assume it's the same.
Yeah, Guy Lafleur. So if that's Guy Lafleur, the question before that, I would say Russell Peters.
Okay, Russell Peters and then Guy Lafleur. Do you have a most upsetting hockey memory?
Yeah, Montreal won 4 Stanley Cups in a row in the late 70s, and then they lost to Minnesota North Stars, I think in the first round, and I could not sleep for 2 or 3 nights, and my mom was getting very upset with me. She was going to call a shrink. She was so concerned that I could not sleep after that loss to the Minnesota North Stars.
No, that's sports. How old were you?
Pardon?
How old were you?
Oh, how old? I want to say I was 12, 11 or 12.
Yeah, that's
12.
normal for sports.
3 nights? 3 nights.
Do you have a favorite hockey memory?
Probably the 93 Stanley Cup, because I think I was an adult, and that was a sweet win.
Right on. And last question. When all of this is over and there are no more restrictions and masks and gloves, what's the thing that you're most excited to do?
Yeah, I hit a live stage. Because I did hit a live one at Laughs Unlimited, the very first one since March at Laughs Unlimited. I think it was June 3rd, June 4th. I can't remember. And I was surprisingly very rusty. It was, and I was kind of spiraling out of control, because I go, wow, I can't believe I forgot that. I forgot that pause. I forgot that facial expression. And it was amazing how rusty I became. It's crazy.
Well, keep up with the virtual shows, and it's not the same, but it's close.
Right. Yeah.
Jimmy, that's it. That's all I got. Thank you so much.
Dude, thank you so much. This was fun. And if John is there, thank you, John, for letting me here.
Oh, actually, John is just Jesse is.
Oh, okay. Jesse, John, thank you so much. And Suzette, thank you. I actually didn't know that you had this show, but I will watch religiously now.
Oh, we've had some great drag queens on, and some great comics. So
well, I'm going to show my wife, because she's really into that, and I'm sure she'll be very interested. And now we have something to watch together, so I'm looking forward to that.
I'll send a link.
Okay, cool.
Right on. Thank you so much for coming on, Jimmy. And once again, There Goes the Neighborhood is July 31st. And where can people find that?
Right here on Facebook Live. There Goes the Neighborhood Comedy Tour. I guess you can search it, and then it'll be streaming live on that page, and it'll be streaming live on my page as well. July 31st, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Yep.
Okay. Thank you so much, Jimmy, and I'll talk to you soon. We have some messages to trade.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Take care.
Bye.
Take care.
All right. Peers and Queers, that was Jimmy Earl, international comedian, and his information was on the screen. You can find him on Instagram or Facebook. You can watch his show on July 31st. There Goes the Neighborhood Comedy Tour. Check him out. Enjoy with his Filipino glasses. And with that, we're going to go with our last. We had him earlier. I don't know why he needs to come on twice. And then Jimmy brought him up. This is too much, David, for one show. But I guess, David, are you there?
Yes.
Okay, keep it short. What's up?
Well, no, yeah. No, I know. I'm sorry.
You should be.
Well, so in the last segment that I did with me and Dave, I was wearing this shirt, this very antique T-shirt from a movie called The Wizard in 1989.
Yes, I remember, with Fred Savage.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was really cool, and I just wanted to come back and say that that's what this shirt is, since the last segment was about movies.
Chelsea liked it.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be long. I mean, I don't have much more to add this week. I thought I'd keep it positive and happy.
It's a good idea.
Yeah. Have you seen The Wizard?
Yes, like 30 years ago.
It's a great movie.
It is?
Yeah. You know, Tobey Maguire has a cameo. He's the kid with the mullet, one of the 3 finalists. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And Fred Savage plays a middle child named Corey, and then 4 years later, his little brother Ben Savage played a middle child named Corey on Boy Meets World. Crazy,
That's
right?
fun.
Trivia,
Yeah.
movie trivia.
Okay. I like
Yeah. The original pitch was Karate Kid, but with video games. Yeah. Similar. There were dinosaurs in Palm Springs, the movie that me and Dave and I talked about, and there were dinosaurs in this movie. Real live tourist attraction in Cabazon, California, near Palm Springs. Same dinosaurs.
In
Yeah.
a Pee-wee movie
Also,
too.
yes. In Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Anything else?
I think maybe the most interesting thing is all the video game footage was pre-recorded.
Really?
Yeah, right. They recorded the footage and then they put it in the movie like it was live played.
They faked a live recording.
Weird,
as
right? I know. Who does that? Why wouldn't you just film live?
Yeah.
Never. You'd never.
I would
do
never
that
do
on
that.
your show. Never have pre-recorded footage.
No, everything's
Yeah, that's
live
all I
on
got.
the show.
Okay, noted.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I don't know what you're talking
Okay.
about.
Well, good show. Take care. Talk to you later.
Thanks. He kept it short. Okay, cool. I should have asked him about his favorite Blackhawks player, but I'll message him later and find out. And if that's ever comes up again, I will know. That is the show. Anything on the nothing on the boards. You guys can comment on the show if you want while you're watching. If you have a question for any of the contributors or the interview guest, it's fair to ask it and we'll get it in. Other than that, we'll be back next week on the 26th of July. You never know what's going to be in the news, and I think I got a pretty good guest. So be here 7:03 on next Sunday. Thanks for coming to the show and enjoying it. Yep. Okay, bye.
Shit and ooh, I love it, yeah, yeah. Stumbling, but yeah, you're still looking hella fine. Keep doing what you're doing, and we'll make you mine. Hot mess, and I'm falling for you, and I'm like, hot damn, let me make you my boo. 'Cause you can shake it, shake it, shake it, yeah, you know what to do. You're a hot mess, I'm loving it, hell yes. Hot mess, and I'm falling for you, and I'm like, hot damn, let me make you my boo. 'Cause you can shake it, shake it, shake it, yeah, you know what to do. You're a hot mess, I'm loving it, hell yes. Can't explain all the ways that you're making me feel. My heart's in overdrive and you're behind the steering